Ever had one of those nightmares that just sticks with you? You know the kind. The ones that feel so real they leave you completely shaken when you wake up. Well, today we're going to decode a very specific and surprisingly common nightmare. And trust me, what we find might just change how you see yourself. Let's dive in.
Oh, you know the feeling. You're up against something terrifying, you rear back to throw a punch, and your arm just floats through the air like it's wading through thick mud. It is so frustrating, right? And terrifying. It feels like you are completely powerless. But what if I told you it's actually the exact opposite?
That's right. That awful feeling of being totally helpless, it's not a weakness at all. It is a powerful, urgent message from your subconscious. Your own mind is telling you that you are right on the edge of a massive realization, a breakthrough in how you understand your own inner world.
Okay, so to really get what's going on, we have to start with that feeling, the powerless punch. Psychologists actually have a name for this first stage. They call it the weakness phase.
And the key word here, the one that unlocks everything, is suppression. See, in the dream, it feels like you're trying and failing to fight some enemy out there. But what's really happening is that you are unconsciously suppressing your own power. Think about it for a second. The dream is a perfect metaphor for an internal conflict. When you try to fight some part of yourself with just pure brute force, you're basically wrestling with your own energy. So the harder you struggle, the weaker you feel. Why? Because the very thing you're fighting is you.
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter. Your mind is trying to teach you something absolutely crucial about this internal fight. It's showing you that there is a much, much better way than just raw force.
So the dream is essentially laying out two paths for you. On the one hand, you've got brute force. That's pure aggression, right? It's you fighting your own energy, and it only ever leads to you losing power. But then there's this other path, psychological insight. That's about observing, about understanding your energy, and that is the real path to strength.
And this is the fundamental message, the big takeaway. Your subconscious is sending you a crystal clear signal. Hey, your current strategy for dealing with this reliance on aggression, it's not working. It's time for a totally different approach.
So if fighting is not the answer, then what is? Well, this is where the dream takes a really fascinating turn. It starts to show you the way from being powerless to being empowered. And it all comes down to a simple shift in your perspective.
The breakthrough moment, the real game changer, happens when some part of you in that dream just gives up the fight. Not because you're defeated, but because you suddenly see with total clarity that the struggle itself is the whole problem. That's the moment of detachment.
And that one realization, that's what kicks off this incredible chain reaction. First, you stop struggling. And when you do that, you stop feeding the monster with your own energy. And in that quiet moment, your mind shifts. It goes from being the powerless victim to being the detached and much more powerful observer.
So the critical lesson here is this. Real psychological strength isn't about winning some internal fistfight. It's about having the wisdom to just step back, to observe the conflict, and to understand it without getting tangled up in it.
Okay, so now you've stopped fighting. You've started observing. You are now ready for the final, and honestly, the most profound revelation in the entire dream. You are ready to see what you were really fighting against all along.
So, what is it? What is this monster, this shadowy figure you were so desperately trying to punch? The answer is often the most shocking and the most transformative part of the whole experience. The monster is you. Or, to be more precise, it's all the parts of you that you've rejected, that you've pushed down and refused to acknowledge. This is what's known as the disowned self. It could be your own capacity for anger, for selfishness, or even for power. All these qualities that you can't stand in other people because you're terrified of finding them in yourself. And look, this isn't just some spooky dream thing. This is a well-documented psychological event. It's actually a cornerstone of Jungian psychology. The dream literally forces you to have a face-to-face confrontation with your own shadow side, the parts of your personality you've kept hidden, even from yourself. Now, facing that truth is a shock, no doubt about it. But it's not the end of the journey. It's actually the beginning of healing, of becoming whole. It's the start of what psychologists call integration.
And when you integrate this disowned self, everything changes. You stop seeing the world as just good you versus bad them. You realize you contain both. Your fear of other people gets replaced by a sense of responsibility for yourself. And that horrible person at work or in your family, they suddenly lose their power over you because you've already faced that part of them that lives inside of you.
This is the ultimate gift of that terrible nightmare. It's a roadmap to courage. By confronting your own shadow, you rob the threats out there of their power. You become psychologically whole.
So the next time you have that dream, don't just write it off as a failure. See it as an invitation to stop fighting, to start observing, and to ask yourself a very important question. What monster have you been fighting?